And hello everyone. It's been a while. A lot has gone on since the last we convened here in the mighty Dash. We are on the ground at Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion International Airport. And I must say, geographically, I've painted myself into a corner here. I was looking for legs to fly from here, heading east around the world as we are, and having landed in Tel Aviv, I can't exactly fly to Riyadh, and I can't really make the distance to Dubai. Kuwait's a little bit of a stretch. The only scheduled airlines that fly between some of those places and here are airlines like Turkish, which connect in Istanbul, or Air Ukraine, which connects in Kiev, and so on. So here we are, and just like we did flying from Istanbul to Larnaca, we're going to, I guess, blaze a few international trails here. So we are flying today from Tel Aviv to Baghdad. I am making no political statements here. I'm making geographical statements. There are only so many places we can go with this plane, that distance, and this is a part of the world that has a lot of distance, and not everybody likes each other, but I will say that in the aviation community, and in the fake aviation community for that matter, there is a whole lot less friction there than there is in the political world. So we'll take that as a good sign, and we'll get going. I have to say, I'm very rusty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this kind of a little bit of a beginner's flight in a sense. I'm going to do a lot of thinking and talking out loud. Well, of course I'm going to be talking out loud, but I'm going to be thinking out loud. And making the things I do pretty damn obvious, mainly because if I don't, I'm going to screw them up myself. So just to fill you in, one of the reasons for the delay is that fried my computer. Well, I didn't fry my computer. A totally aptly named piece of equipment called the EKWB Predator, which is a very lovely water cooling setup, lived up to its name, and it preyed on my computer. Early versions of it were recalled because they tended to leak from the block right where it connects to the CPU. And they brought out a new version of it, the 1.1 version, and I took extra pains to make sure that, damn it, I got the 1.1 version, the one that didn't leak. Well, what might be news to the people at EK is that at least the 1.1 version I had, which by the way, installed beautifully, is immaculately built, was quiet, was solid, cooled beautifully. In addition to that, it leaked water, and it killed my CPU, and it killed my motherboard. So then there came the excitement and the fun of buying a new motherboard, swapping it in, getting it started, realizing that in my haste to upgrade, I upgraded to an Asus X99 motherboard, which when it works well, it works great, and when it doesn't, which is most of the time, it's flaky. You ought to know, if you're running a lot of USB devices on X99 chipsets, no matter who makes the motherboards, it can be a little bit dicey. They don't like to boot up. They are weird. And no other Intel motherboard that I've ever had has done that. And I've had Z87s and Z97s, and Xeons in my Mac, and all the rest of that. And so hence the delay. So went through a couple motherboards, went through a couple CPUs, put in a new cooling system, upgraded here to prepared 3.2, which is why certain things don't work. I'm not running Rex soft clouds yet because they haven't come up with a version. However, Active Sky Next does, and at least this version of the Mighty Dash seems to work reasonably well. And, you know, so we'll, as Rich says, see how we get on. And this is how we're going to get out. We are going to take off from runway 8 here at Ben Gurion. Let me just show you where we are in the field. It's a nice little add-on airport, which I sort of shoehorned into prepared using the migration tool. Anyway, we're sitting at Terminal B right here. We're going to push back nose left, and we're going to come on down here and jump onto runway 8, which is a nice long piece of asphalt. The SID we're going to fly, though, because we really want to go to the east eventually, is going to be the Salam 3 Bravo. However, the Salam 3 Bravo doesn't just shoot out this way, because there's terrain and because I'm sure there are other issues that I'm not even aware of, and traffic management and airspace and things like that. The SID takes you to this fix and then spins you around as you climb, and you come back out at 7,000, and then whoosh, you shoot out at 090 or 101 or 122 or 138, depending on where you're going. So that's what we're going to do. So let's get it started. The other little quirk is, here, let me show you. I wanted to get the weather conditions for Baghdad International, which is ORBI, and watch what it says. Ah, you see there, it says Baghdad International. Here in the flight planning tool, watch this. This is a little bug here. It says no valid destination, but it will take the old designator, which was ORBS, and the BS in that stood for Baghdad Saddam International. Now, since they stretched his neck a little bit, I guess they took the name off the airport. So just for planning purposes in here, and I'll send an email to the guys who do Active Sky Next. This is wrong. ORBI, plain old Baghdad International, is right. And so the conditions there are clear and nothing. And the conditions here, let's just get that while we're here, are clear and nothing. So 2985 is our altimeter, and let's get that set up. 2985. And while we're at it also, I've rigged this up so that I can also have speed keys that pop up these windows full. And what that does is it allows me to, and will allow you to get a slightly bigger view of your gauge at the touch of a keystroke, which helps a lot when your head's down or when you're in the HUD, for example, and you need to look over and see what your engine torque is. It's not realistic in the sense that in real life you would just simply crane your neck and cock your head, and you would be able to just look at it, but because this is a sim and it's two-dimensional, it's on a screen, there are certain compensations. And just remember, folks, you can cock your head, but not vice versa. And don't tell your mom. Alright, so, not sure why it's dim in there until we click that, but in any case, there we go. Let's get our flight plan in, but before we do that, let's just make sure our gear pins, which are the things that prevent the landing gear from coming up, are stowed, and they are. Let's also get our V-speeds. And I've got a little utility that does that I installed, which runs in conjunction with FSUIPC. It's a Lua script. I'm going to do flaps 10. So we press 2. And as you can see, it automatically sets our V-speeds, which you would ordinarily do by hitting this, spinning this, hitting this, spinning this, hitting this, spinning this, etc., etc., etc. So V1 and rotate and V2 all the same. And flaps retraction, or V-fry, 137, and V-climb, 158. Let's get our airport information. Let's just see what our airfield elevation is. And that's a good way to check and see whether we've set our altimeter right. Alright, airfield elevation. And once again, I've neglected to learn how to read LIDO charts, or LIDO charts, whichever one. So where do they hide the airfield elevation? Well, we're going off of 8, and that's 96 feet. So, alright, so we'll set that. And see, we're at 140, which automatically raises some questions. Before we do that, let's get our MFD set up for terrain, not for weather. There we go. And eventually we'll set up this one for weather, but there ain't going to be any weather. There is no weather in this part of the world except mostly dry and usually hot. So, get ourselves started. I hit my 3 key, which gets me my FMS. And again, I've programmed it that way. Let's see, our ground power is disconnected. We're on APU. And let's get a flight plan in. So, type our origin, LLBG. So used to typing on a QWERTY keyboard. And our destination, which is, let's see if it has it in its database, which is ORBI, boom. Yes, it does. Okay, good. You Boeing folks will notice that there is no scratch pad. The way you do it in a Boeing FMS, which is, I think, a Honeywell. I'm not sure. This is a Universal. But I think it's a Honeywell, and in some planes it's a Collins, but I think it's mostly a Honeywell, is you enter data in a little area down here, and then you direct it to a line. Here, you enter the line and edit right on the line. And if you want to add a destination, you just go to this one and you type in, say, Colts Neck, New Jersey. Let's just see how far away that is. The Colts Neck VOR. And you'll notice what will happen is it will, oh, this is the other Colts Neck. It's not Colts Neck, it's the other VOR. That's COL, which is a little closer. And to delete it, you hit delete twice. Alright, so we got a 478 nautical mile trip. Let's put in our SID, and we do that thusly. You hit menu, then depart. We're coming off of runway 8 or 08 if you're a stickler. And what did we say? We said the Salam 3B or Bravo. And in a Boeing aircraft, you would FMS, you would simply click on whatever line this corresponds to. Whereas here, you know, your temptation is to go, oh, click on that. Oh, click on that. And of course, none of that works. And it would, of course, raise the question of what about these that don't correspond with one of these? No, what you do is you look down the list and you say, ah, that's number 7. So you punch in a 7 here. And then what we're going to do, okay, so there's our SID, direct Noga, and then direct back to Noga. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put in our route, And our route is relatively straightforward, although I don't know if anybody ever flies this route very much, but we're going to make, okay, Salam gets us off right there. That's the Salam 3B, so let's just get that right. And you notice how it automatically puts in the Salam 3F. I wonder if our nav data is out of date. Well, what are you going to do if it is? It seems to be up to date, so alright. Well, whatever it is the Salam, and we end up at Salam, and then let's go from Salam to Amman, where we'll join up with the L200. So Amman is the AMN VOR, so we put it right there. AMN, we confirm that it is what it seems to be, and it is, so we'll go back there and we'll clear our no link. You know what I did? I hit return instead of enter, and return doesn't mean return like an enter key, it means go back to where you were. Muscle memory. So okay, so we'll put in once again AMN, enter. Now we can either hit accept here or hit enter again, so we'll just do that. Now we're going to Amman, and now we've got to get onto our airway, and you do that by picking it from a list. Now I don't want, now here it's also confusing, you don't hit 1, 2, or 3. That would be if you want the particular airports. If you want these things, now you actually do hit the line select keys. So we want an airway, and there's only one. That's the Lima 200. And there we go, and we're going to take it to Luton and then pick it up again. So 3 Luton, and go back to airway, and it's a shame it isn't smart enough to just take you all the way to your final point. Maybe I'll try that the next time, see if it actually accepts it. I don't think it does. Okay, now we'll take the L200 again to Daxon. Now you know what? Let's put in our terminal point all the way at the end here of our L200, and let's see if it takes it. Silbo. Let's see if Silbo's on there. Okay, now let's see. 15, Silbo, done, and done. Alright, so it is smart enough to do that, which is good. Alright, so we're going to fly outbound on a course of 076. We'll bug that. We might have had a little bit of magnetic variation because it says 075. We'll see what it gives us. And that's more or less it. So now, cross-filling. I saw somebody trip up on this. Peter Mathis was running a really nice flight with a friend, and they got all screwed up on cross-filling the database. No, actually, the nav data is correct. They put in a flight plan, and then on this one, they hit cross-fill. And of course, the way it cross-fills is it sucks from the opposite one onto itself. So what this did was it took this perfectly good flight plan and sucked an empty flight plan from over here onto it, in essence obliterating it. So remember, on the Mighty Dash, a good mnemonic is, on the dash, the cross-fill sucks. So we're going to cross-fill from this one onto this one. So here we go. Cross-fill, do the fuel first. And you see it says cross-fill receive. That's the dead giveaway. If you see cross-fill receive on a side that you've already got your desired flight plan, you've just blown out that flight plan. So just be very careful with that. All right, now we'll cross-fill the flight plan. And we'll go back to there, and we'll see that on our flight plan it is good. And let's just tighten up our scale here. And there we go. So a mile outbound, and then a right turn, direct Noga, and then outbound again, and loop around, climbing from the ground to 7,000 feet the next time we cross Noga. Now, let us see. Okay, I've loaded enough fuel. Door is closed. And let's get going. What I wanted to do was I wanted to tune up Amman just so we have some point of reference as we get on out of here, because we're going to be crossing over it. We're going to be tracking to it, even though we're RNAV here, but we can use it as a backstop, so 1163. And so let's put that in our ARC-2. Okay. There we go. Put it on the other side as well. Alright, good to go there. Check our auto feather. We've already done our safety checks, so that's out of the way. Let's just remind ourselves which way we push, and then let's get out of Dodge. Okay, we push nose left, and we go to runway 8. So, check around us and see what kind of push we can take. So we're pushing out to here, going out to this taxiway, and then heading out this way. There's nothing behind us, so okay, we can do a standard nose left push. You do that by calling up the FMS, or I'm sorry, the FM, yes, the FMS. We're not in a Boeing anymore. And going to the data page. In real life, you'd be on an intercom with somebody who's plugged into your nose right there. So we'll do services, and we'll say pushback, nose left. Come upstairs here.
Well, we are ready for pushback.
Turn off our bleeds, turn our anti-collision lights to the red. Release the parking brake. Put our selector over to number 2.
Parking brakes released.
Pushing back now, you're clear to start the engine number 2.
Okay. So we come down here and move our condition lever to start and feather, and we watch it go. We also monitor our push here. Did I push this in the wrong direction? I don't know. No, we're all right. Okay, we'll end our push right there.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of our airline, we would like to welcome you on board of our
And
the flight time
parking brake is set. We can turn our nose wheel steering on.
Set. Can we get clearance at number 1?
Any electronic equipment, we would kindly ask you to contact us first. For takeoff and landing, these devices must be switched off, and the cellular phones may not be used during the entire flight.
Thank you. And we repeat the procedure down there. And we're using our new PFC throttle quadrant, which has the enormous advantage of not being a side tech. Alright, we monitor our start, our temperatures, pressures, everything fine on number 2, so we're going to bring number 2 up to max. Do that by taking the number 2 condition lever, and up it goes. And it will make an incredible noise. So let's just refresh ourselves. We are going to taxi past those air stairs, there to runway 8. All right. This number 2 indicates number 2 is in the ground range. And now we can bring up number 1 and watch it climb and make sure everything is fine. These are FADEC controlled engines. In other words, there's almost nothing you can do to break them. FADEC stands for Full Authority Digital Engine Control, and that means that there's no more of this hit start and then wait till it spins up to a certain RPM before bringing in fuel or anything like that. The computer takes care of that for us. Now, while we're looking at it, let's set our rudder trim to about 10 units of right trim. So, as to counteract, the trim isn't moving. Let's see why. Our hydraulics are fine, so let's just see what's up with the trim. See if I can move it this way. I can move it this way. It's probably my control. Yeah, my control ain't doing diddly. Okay, well, let's see. I guess we'll just have to use it this way in flight by looking down at that way. We are already squawking Charlie, and I believe this is one of those airports that does require it. It's going to be a flaps 10 takeoff. We've got our V-speeds. We can now turn on our auxiliary fuel pumps and standby hydraulics and our power transfer unit. We can check our hydraulics, check our electrics. Everything is nominal. We can set our automatic flight control system and turn on the yaw damper. So we're going to leave in nav mode and in toga mode. Watch what happens with this. That's what we're going to pitch up to. And our initial altitude is going to be 3 to Noga. So let's set an initial of 3, hit alt cell, put a ceiling on that, and let us get ready to get on out of here. But before we do that, let's get all of our heats on and run through a quick and dirty checklist. Main bus tie off, heats on, taxi light, logo light, position light all can come on, bleeds on and min, cabin temperature normal, seatbelt signs on, parking brake off, trim, let's set to 10 right, and elevator trim is set, gust lock is on, condition lever is max, radios tuned, bing, bada boom. Now we're going to try to keep our props in the ground range as we taxi. But because I don't want us to be here all day, we'll try to expedite it a little bit. Pretend that this is Southwest and not Middle East. Hey, a little airline geography joke, kids. I've set it up so that my yoke does the nose wheel steering. Other people set it up so their mouse does, and still others like it when it's set up as an axis on their throttle, say. Me, I'm kind of agnostic, as you can tell from anyone flying from Tel Aviv to Baghdad. So these all seem to be remote stands over here. These are all newly calibrated controls, so... Okay, we're at Kilo 5 and Kilo. Let us make a left on Kilo and see where that gets us. Probably nowhere but trouble. Now we want to go to runway 8. Which, if I'm not mistaken, is going to be way down yonder. Even when you set up on the dash an axis to be your tiller steering, your pedals still give you about 5 degrees of steering authority, so you can make minor adjustments like this with your feet and use your hand on the tiller for other purposes. In essence, you can make fine adjustments with your feet if you want. If you're more compulsive than I am, I guess. We could hew to this line a little bit better. But we're a small aircraft, and therefore we are able to taxi probably 2 abreast on this taxiway, if I'm not mistaken. Now we're going at quite a clip here. We're going at about 25 knots, which is on the high side. And we will hold short of runway 8. That is a very hefty hold short. And we'll do our pre-takeoff checklist. Navigation is set. Nose wheel steering is on. Flaps set. Trim set. Radios set. Turn on our landing lights. Turn off our taxi lights. Put this to white. Okay, bleeds are on and min. It's going to be an end-top takeoff, normal takeoff power, which is about 90% torque. And we'll try not to break anything. And if I yawn, excuse me, I'm just having a bit of the long week with politics here in the United States, or in the banana republic known as the United States at the moment. We have a lot going on in that respect, and covering politics is my business. Well, it's my company's business. I make it my business, because their business is my business. Alright, now I'm going to turn onto a runway that more or less stretches as far as the eye can see, which is good because it does get hot here. Check our elevation. Yeah, it's about right. Give or take 10 feet, which is a decent amount of slop. Alright, our pumps are on, our bleeds are on, flaps are set, trim is set, props are max. We are squawking and doing all the rest. And so, with that, we shall advance the power levers slightly, check that they're stable, line ourselves up, start the clock, and heat them up. And this is 12,000 feet of runway goodness. There's 80. Looking for 125. We're going to get it real soon. And we got it. And rotate. And we're just going to smoothly rotate up to that magenta bar. Bring up the gear. Oops. Let's try that again. Oh, I see. Oh, you know what I did? I accidentally bound that to an easy dock key, so just click on it and do it that way. Looking for a little more than 1,000 feet, at which point we will, having brought up the flaps, which we're going to do right now, make our turn, nose down slightly, accelerate, bring our props back, and in a second we'll set IAS mode for the climb. At the speed we want it to settle into. And I think we want to climb at about there. So I hit IAS. And now the vertical bar is going to give me IAS guidance. And I'm going to put it on autopilot now for a second. So that, now you see, it's doing my easy dock thing. Tell you. Wonder why that is. Can't really have it bound to two things. Alright, so we're flying outbound here to Noga, and once we hit Noga, we can climb again to 7,000. Because we're going to hit it on the way back in. And if we don't, then I will make it so. So we'll follow the correct SID. Ease off the power here. That's me being rusty. We are below 250, so we're technically fine, but we're kind of being a little gratuitously sporty here. So we head out towards the Mediterranean, over Tel Aviv, and then we come back in the other direction. You know, I still had climb power set, even though technically we're more akin to a cruise for the moment here, but anyway, not bad scenery. Looks pretty good. I don't know if that's part of the airport scenery package or whether this is Wonderful World of Orbix talking, but looks pretty good. Looks reasonably realistic. There's water, there's sand, there's ugly apartment buildings, and super highways, so it basically looks like Los Angeles with about 2.5% more turmoil at times. Now I'm trying to manipulate my trim and it's not doing it, so I'm just going to do it manually this way. Turn off our auto feather, turn off our pumps, and I'm going to bring our bleeds up to normal. Boom, boom. And it is supposed to fly us back from Medina to the next waypoint, and if it doesn't, we're going to make it happen. Okay, direct Noga we did 6, and now we're doing Dina, and it just wants us to go direct Noga again. Now I'm going to be very curious here. I am just going to let it do its thing. I am not going to you see, we blew one part of our SID. We should have been above 5,000 by Dina, not 3,000. I mean by 6. So, alright, well, let's hustle our way up to 7. Not paying attention there. Outcell. We have another ceiling on it. And IAS. And we'll climb a little bit. That's fine. We can climb at this speed. Watch what happens. You set in IAS mode. And of course, it doesn't do anything until you start climbing above that speed, and then it noses us back until you reestablish the speed. Well, what I've done is I've started at a base speed, and I was only at 40% torque, so now I'm moving up to maximum climb power, and that takes care of that. But what I'm looking to see is if it turns us around and goes right back to Noga, or whether I'm going to have to intervene and make that happen. Let's see. You know, I think it's doing it. Alright, well that's cool. That is the Mediterranean, and we're going to put it behind us. This is the new water feature here in Prepare 3.2. They seem to have cured their water animation and performance problems because of it. So that looks pretty good, although it, boy, does it swirl a lot. Got some good color variation. Look at that. Isn't that nice? Alright, so we're now heading back to Noga, at which point we'll basically depart Israel, because it's not too much of a flight over the rest of the country. At least not if you're going to cross it. We got two little hops and skips. We've got Israel and we've got Jordan, and then basically we've got huge amounts of desert. So let's get one last look at the city of Tel Aviv, and further down to the right, the largely Palestinian city of Jaffa, and south of there Ashdod and Ashkelon, and then south of that the Gaza Strip, Gaza. And there's the airport there we're coming back to. And I've done it again. We've leveled off, and I haven't managed my power. Alright. Very rusty. And it's funny because I was just corresponding with another dash pilot, a new dash pilot named Ken Terry, and he said, is there any kind of auto throttle facility at all on this plane? And the answer was no. The answer is, to everybody who flies her, you're on your own, kid. And there are two ways you can botch it. You can be climbing at a climb power and level off and then overspeed. You can be descending at a certain speed, and then the airplane levels you off and you don't increase the power, and then you slow down to the point where you drop out of the sky. So those are the two primary ways of screwing the pooch in this plane with regard to the power, but there are other little subtleties. Alright, so let's see. Once we get past Noga, can we climb? Because our cruise altitude is going to be 250. I believe we can. And let's also take a look. And see where we are with respect to Amman. Okay, we're not picking that up yet. We're probably not high enough. Alright, as soon as we pass Noga, which we have to be at or above 7,000, we could start our climb. Now, here's another dashism, I suppose. Use some autopilot to do it this way. In a Boeing, if I were to take this thing and I were to spin this thing up to 250, it would immediately take off and do it. But we're in altitude capture, altitude hold mode. So until we tell it how we want to go up and at what rate or at what speed, it won't do it. Okay, so here we go. Let's climb in IAS mode. Now it captures the speed we're at right now, which means we don't go anywhere. So now we're going to drop our speed in the IAS window to 185. And as you can see, up we go. Because what it is doing is it is pitching to maintain this speed, 185 we said. Not the speed it's at right now, it bugged it right there at 185. And now that we're no longer level, I'm going to put us in maximum climb power and add 250. We're going to put outcell, and that is pretty much it until we get close to Baghdad, because there ain't much to see, folks. What I'll do is when we get up to our cruising altitude, well, first of all, when we get above 10 here, we'll set standard altimeter. So in that goes right now. And when we get up to our cruising altitude, I will pull the props back to 850 with these levers here, and we will have already turned off all the lights except our strobe and position light, as much as we like our company. Bleeds are fine, just checking the pressurization, make sure it's coming up, and it is. And we're going to have no trouble, I boldly predict, with icing here. And we've got a tailwind. So we are looking good. Not sure this is what Israel looks like. That looks more like the English countryside with desert added, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there are many, many kibbutzes there, and therefore there are many kibbutzniks, so who knows. Climbing nicely. It's a good speed to climb at. Different airlines will climb at different speeds. What they're doing is they're balancing time to altitude with fuel burn, with passenger comfort, and often a lot of even subtler things than that. Just trim ourselves out with the rudder. And I think with that, I'm going to cut the video right here, and we'll pick it up near top of descent. And hello again from high atop the desert. We were heading to Baghdad, but as you can see, we are working a little bit of emergency here. We seem to have lost our outboard spoilers, and we've had an avionics failure on the right side, so we are going to land as soon as we possibly can, which means we need to find an airstrip pronto. And let us try, I believe that is Amman behind us, so let us try to go back to Amman, because at least they've got some facilities and they're all about equidistance. So OSDI, keeping a look out of the corner of my eye to see what's going on here. Let's try that again. OSDI number 4. Enter. Oh, that's just glorious. All right. Well, there are other ways to skin a cat, so let's go into our flight plan. And we don't have a flight plan. Let's try resetting our recycling our FMS, and if not, we're just gonna have to tune up Amman if we can still get it. No, we can't. Alright, let's see what we can get in the area. The airplane is holding, at least for the moment, but we're going to monitor that very carefully. We are approximately, let's see, we were approximately right about there at Ludan. Amman is at 116.3, and it is at a bearing of about 270, so let us fly about that way. And let's see if we can get 115.2. All right. Now, by the looks of it, is our FMS back on? Our FMS is back on. Accept. Pop us into altitude. Hold right now for the moment. And no, we don't really. Okay, well, it's capturing 25,000. That's good. And let's go into heading hold. Spin our bug around to make sure. And that's not working. Alright. Screw it. Let's go flying over the desert. And let's try and navigate here manually. Okay, obviously we have no flight plan. List airports. OSPR. I wish I knew what it was. But let's just maintain our altitude, trim ourselves out, and head in that general direction. I hope it's not occupied Syria. Turn off our flight director, we don't need it. Work on the trim just a little bit. Being aware we might not have complete roll authority. I believe those spoilers are only going to affect us on the ground. But we obviously have unreliable avionics, and at least on the first officer's side we have unreliable airspeed and altitude. So let's keep an eye on our standby here. And that seems to agree with this, and the other side's giving up the ghost, so we'll keep an eye on pitch and power and make sure that we are using fairly reliable known combinations, and thank goodness we are flying in the daytime. Alright. Oh, let's see if I can get us to, I believe Ojai is Amman. Is it? See how well I can hold my altitude while the screen is obscured. Okay, Queen Aliyah, Jordan is Ojai. That's the main airport. So Alright, a little bit off on the altitude, but that's okay. Let's see if we can get there. No. Flight plan. No. Nav. Well, half of it's working. So let's just see. No. Alright, let us see how we're going to do this. We're just going to have to use a radio. Queen Aliyah is 152. So let's see if our... Let us see if our ARC-2s are working. Somebody really did not want us to go to Baghdad. Alright, we're out of range of that. Let us turn to the west here. And we seem to have decent roll authority. That would be a highway down there. And let's put in 1163 Amman on this side. See if we can receive it. Well, that's unreliable. We seem to still be getting FMS data about our waypoint. And we do have a magenta line heading back towards Gibbix, but there's no way I'm going to head across 300 miles of desert not knowing when the airplane's going to give out. So... everything else, there's not much to do. There's no mention of this in the abnormal or the non-normal procedures. So we're kind of on our own here. I'm guessing we're hovering over Syria, unfortunately. So we'll keep an eye out for anti-aircraft. And we will head to the southwest, because at the very least we will hit someplace we can put down. Alright, let's see what else broke. Nope, everything just fine. Just avionics and the outboard spoilers. Boy, I sound like I'm from New Orleans. Outboard spoilers. We're on cruise power. Our engines look fine, and the rest of our electrics look fine. I'm loath to start tampering with circuit breakers because that never ends well. And we are going away from Gibbix, which is good. And we should be heading somewhat towards Amman. I should have known when my trim knob quit on me that this was going to be rough sailing. but being a cavalier sword, I ignored it. Okay. Heading back towards Jordan here. Is OLB a Beirut? I'll bet it is. Well, we could go there if we have to. Suppose we'd be in good company if we were flying in TWA colors. But if you wondered about that, just ask your folks. All right, let's see. Let's see if we can get heading select to work. Heading select, altitude capture, autopilot on. Now let's see if it does it. That's gonna zoom us up to 25,000. And nope. Heading select is not gonna work. Okay. And there's Haifa dead ahead of us. Okay, now we are pointing towards Amman, which is right there. And we'll just have to fly the airplane here. And we've declared an emergency, so we're basically going to get any approach we want. I'll brief it in a second if I can. If not, we'll just get vectored. In any case, let's switch our nav source over to something somewhat more reliable. And that is going to be VOR2. There we go. And let's just get a direct. Oops. Get a direct course to where we're going. And we'll just fly that. Alright, there we go. Okay, and there's good. Okay, now that's taking us directly to the airport. So, what we'll do is we'll flop back over to nav 1. Set up a direct for that. Now if it won't follow the FMS, I wonder if it will follow... I wonder if it'll follow the nav, the VOR. Okay, the flight director does. I wonder if the servos will. Let's try it. Shall we? No, they don't either. Okay. So much for that. I suspect when the plane gets unreliable readings from one half of its altitude and airspeed, it gives up the ghost. So what we're going to do is we're just going to center up old needles, and we're going to fly direct to Queen Alia International Airport. I don't know why I'm squaring up this heading bug, because it's not going to hold a heading anyway. We do have a wind that's blowing us a little bit to the left here. And yours truly is having difficulty holding an attitude. I've got an attitude problem, clearly. I'm still getting my controls dialed in on this new setup, because you have to recalibrate everything. And this plane is notoriously hard to trim even in the best of times. I'll trim it to require a little bit of pull to stay where I am. That's just a function of the springs in this thing, nothing more. Just a little bit of pressure on it. It's to do with the null zone on the thing, basically. Alright, there we go. In all of the respects, so far so good, said the guy falling out of the building halfway down. Trying to avoid some serious pilot-induced oscillations here. And we are 131 nautical miles away. And we want to be at about 1,500 feet near the field. And we'll just do a visual approach. We will not count on spoilers when we land, and we'll be aware or wary of asymmetrical anything. The runway is long enough so we don't really have to worry about running out of asphalt. But we do have to worry about precipitously slamming on the brakes or popping the props into beta, so we're going to ease them back into beta in case there's any asymmetry there. And other than that, we're going to put our faith in the good engineers at Bombardier. So basically I'm just tracking this VOR inbound. We're crabbed into the wind, as you can see, just a little bit. And I'm sort of fighting the elevator trim as we go here. Trying to tame the little oscillation there and just see if I can... Now I'm hands off, but there's just a little bit of crosstalk in the controls, so when I go and move the stick to the left a little bit like that, it upsets the elevator just a little bit, so I'm drifting around my altitudes a little bit, probably making everybody severely airsick. Get our V-speeds ready. We'll land the standard way. There's no reason to change anything. We're going to have to come down 23,000 feet. So 23 times 3 is 69, so start coming down in about 50 miles. Actually, technically 46 miles, but who's counting? Doing a little homemade VNAV here, and 50 miles at our current ground speed is 6 minutes, give or take. And I thought we were going to have a sporty flight to Baghdad. I may just rethink this. We might do Lebanon and then up through the stands. But I wanted to do Dubai to something like Mumbai and get us across India that way, and then maybe into the Himalayas there, as nobody would call them. Alright, tracking a nice, strong VOR, thank goodness. Over, I'd say it's safe to call this nowhere. I'm sure there are Bedouins who call it home, and small reptiles who might call it home, but that's about it. This is pretty desolate stuff. I feel like my friend Helipilot 7 here, hand flying everything. Little dabs of trim, and that's about it. Alright, another 3 minutes or so. We'll start coming down. I miscalculated. We're doing 5 miles a minute over the ground. So in another 5.5 minutes we'll start coming down. We'll come down at our standard about 1,800 feet per minute, which will get us 3 degrees of drop, more or less. Actually, at 300 knots ground speed, we would need, multiply times 5, we'd need 1,500 feet per minute. Well, we can do that too. Though the way I'm going right there, I'll be at 30,000 feet by the time we get to our top of descent. This is not most exciting terrain. terrain in the world, as you can see. But there's actually a little water down there. And there's a little bit of green off in the distance, which means we're getting somewhere is good. A few bumps up here as well. Other than that, uneventful. We're not going to hit birds, that's for sure. Apparently a few kinks to be worked out with the lighting system. This is not, by the way, really made for prepared 3.2. This is patched to work with 3.1. And there have been some changes, and so we're just going to have to wait for another patch to really have everything work. I don't know if that's the reason behind the failures or whether those failures are exactly as intended. Hope they're as intended. That would be kind of fun. Alright, so we're staying at 25,000 feet, or as we call it, flight level 250. As I fight the trim some more. And just wait about another 10 miles and then we're going to start coming down. Come on, baby, trim out for me, would you? Don't do that. Obviously, I still have some work to do on this, and on my flying. Try not to chase it, but by the same token, try not to get into an oscillatory mode either, but I seem to be unable to avoid it. Some of that I think is a function of altitude too. And I know Active Sky models winds aloft, so it is entirely possible that these winds aloft are just dance around ever so slightly. But it's probably just technique. Alright, about another minute away from our descent. And again, we're going to stick to sort of known combinations of pitch and power, just in case our airspeed is not what it should be. I'm also going to monitor this. Put that on 2992 standard. And I'm sort of been glancing at our ground speed, and it doesn't show any reason to think that we have unreliable airspeed on this side. Everything else is sort of looks kosher. You know, this is about the speed we'd expect to be at this power. So, alright, let's start going down. Now, because I really don't want to overspeed, I will set this at a fairly known good combination. About there for the attitude, and about there for the power. That gets us a little more than we want, but let's adjust up a little bit. I'm just going to trim us. So we're shallowing out a little bit. in a second I'll spin our altitude down to 3. This isn't going to really matter because the autopilot doesn't work. Alright, that's a little too little. That's about right. Right about there. It's like half a needle width there. And I note that these instruments agree, and they agree on speed. So I think we're okay on our airspeed. But I'm just going to keep an eye on both. And this is also a combination of about 1/3 torque and about 3 degrees nose down. That works out to the rate of descent we want, which is about 1,500 feet per minute. Now, I am going to note that as the air gets thicker, our barber pole is going to creep downward, and even if it weren't creeping downward below about 15,000 feet, I'd take about another 5% torque out of that. Just strictly because I know that the air is thickening up, and that'll offset it. And 60 away, and we need to come down 17, so we're on track there. Oh, about 18. I mean, we'll see the airport at that point, if we're lucky. I'm also just a little bit off course. We'll get the local weather in a second. A little harder to do when you're hand flying, but we'll make do. OJAI is no wind, 30.00. Alright. Now, I'm going to memorize that and not put it in the standby altimeter right here. But you know what? I will, because there's nothing for us to run into here that a few feet won't matter. So I'm going to put that in there just to remind me. And also, because if this craps out, this will be set right, and I won't have forgotten it in the heat of the moment. Alright, maintaining a nice rate of descent here. Gets pretty hazy. Just see if we can find... Yes, we are heading right, smack towards the airport. Okay, that's always good. Nose down trim. Cut back in on our radial. Just a little bit right of track. We're maintaining a good rate of descent. We could probably stand a little bit more. And our speed is stable, our engines look good. And I'm looking over at our juice over there. Our electricity looks good. 40 miles out, we should come down 12. That's still good. Just range us down a little bit here. There we go. And you see we've got our RMI needle pointing straight at the station, right at the magenta mark, which is our track made good. So I'm just going to keep that there. Coming down at about 1,500 feet, 1,600 feet per minute. That's right where we want to be. So I've got three sets of instruments on this. I've got a flight director, which is giving me lateral guidance. And I've got the HSI below it, and I've got the RMI needle in front of me on the MFD. The air is getting thicker, so just increase our rate of descent a little bit. And I think we've just blown through the radial just a tad. Yes, we have. Alright, 30 miles out, and we got to come down a little bit faster, just a little high. And the air is getting thicker, so off comes a little power. There we go. Just shallow out our descent a little bit. There we go. Foam the runways, we're coming in hot. All right, and there's the airport at our 12:30, at least on the scope. We are not quite visible with it, or visual with it. It's not visible to us. Come off the power a bit more. And we're below 10, so we can set 3000. Crap. We can try to. Hard to do that left-handed. Alright, that'll do. Alright, I really can't get up any runway diagrams for the airport there at the moment, but I do know that the facilities are more than adequate for the Mighty Dash, and there is no wind and no serious weather to speak of, so everything should be Jake. feed in a little bit of power. We can shallow out our descent now. There we go, right about to there. About 1.6 down. And let's just get ready for arrival. Crap, forgot about that. Alright, lights can come on. Leads can go to min. Pumps can come on. Kind of doing this out of the corner of my eye here as I fly. Okay. Auxes can come on. And that'll more or less do us. I'll take care of the props when we get into the pattern. Okay, 11 miles out. Just gonna jack up our V-app. Okay, there we go. And let's double check. 115.2 puts us, should put us right at the airport, yes. Okay. Hazy old day. It's times like this you wish you had a Garmin where you could just hit the key for the nearest airport and it would direct you to it. Alright, we're feeding a little bit of power back in. And I really wish I could pull up the chart for this, but I cannot. So we're going to wing it. Okay, that looks like Jordan. Jordan, that looks like Amman right there. Let's see if we can find the field. Let's trust our instruments here. It says the airport is off this way. The beacon is saying the airport is that way. Now what do? Let's trust that that looks like civilization and the desert looks like the desert. So let's do it the dirty way. And it says we've crossed over the beacon. Let's see if we can find an airport. If not, we're going to fly to the coast, and we're going to fly down the coast until we hit Haifa. And that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to do. Ah! And there's the field. Alright, we'll enter a left downwind here in a second. There in the haze. There she blows. Alright, we'll come down to... look at that. Alright, we can still see it. Okay, we'll get ready for props full. There we go. Okay, nice long piece of real estate there. But it appears to be obscured by a sandstorm. 2 runways, okay. We are fat and happy. Just come down to a nice pattern speed. Turn off our flight director. We're happy as a pappy. Boy, look at that visibility. It kind of sort of sucks. Okay, we'll slow below 200. Roll into a downwind. For the right-hand runway. Actually, we should make this kind of a tight pattern, given the visibility. We might lose the airport.
Caution, terrain. Caution, terrain.
Okay, down comes the gear. First notch of flaps. Okay. Boy, this visibility's rotten. Okay. Let's see where we are. There we are. Gonna navigate by that road there, and right there, that little oasis thingy. Okay, the rest of our flaps. Feet on the pedals. Follow this highway back that way. Those are the approach lights for the other runway. We're probably going to end up just a little high. But let's see how we do. Oh, we're good. That's the main road. Coming up to our V-app speed. Give us a little more juice. Very slightly low. Turn to final. Bring in a little more power. Keep us right where we are. And look at that. Will you look at that? Alright, and look at that low layer of haze. Wow. Not much of a wind.
Plus 100.
Not much technique, though.
Minimums.
Alright, again, we're going to not come off the power too quickly here. And we're not going to do anything sudden.
100.
Just in case our spoilers are funky or our beta is funky.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Just ease it on. And ease it into beta. And ease on the brakes. Whoa, I'm only getting half my braking. Okay. That's fun. Let's see if we could turn. We can. And look, it's a maintenance hangar. How do you like that? You see? Well, that was quite the experience. Let's just see if all of our spoilers are deployed out there. They're lit up. Yeah, they are. I wonder if that was just a bad indicator. Yep, they're all lit up. All our boards are out there. Let's just see if they let's just see if they actually work when we use them. Yeah, they do. All right, well, go figure. And with that, here in Amman, we'll get our problem sorted out, and then I think we'll head on from Amman to, let's do Kuwait. We'll do Kuwait, and then we'll do Dubai, and from there we'll make our way to India, stopping if we have to in Karachi. Until then, it's been quite the adventure. Thanks for tuning in, as always. Hope you guys learned some stuff. Hope I learned some stuff that I can pass on to you. And thank you so much, everybody, for subscribing. And see you next time.